Welcome to a presentation by the James City County Williamsburg Master Gardener Association. Today's program, Indoor Plants with Master Gardener Shelby Sebro.
And I love houseplants. I have been growing houseplants for about maybe over 10 years now. I'm not actually sure, I lost count. But it has been a very rewarding journey, and I encourage so many more people to at least give it a try. So I'm hoping with our talk today, I can convince you to go to your nearest plant store and start your indoor plant journey. Okay, you guys ready? Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna go over a few different topics, and like I said, this is for beginner houseplants. So this is for you guys who have either one or none, or maybe got that one cactus that died in the window. We are going to go through some of the steps that I wish someone told me when I was getting started, so that I can have much more success and less heartbreak. So we are going to first talk about our house prep. We're going to learn about the different plant goals people may have, a short lighting guide so that we know what our house is capable of accommodating, and where to go. Then we're going to take a look at the actual hunting process. We're going to play a short game of this, not that. We are going to talk about the pets to keep watch of when you are hunting and some things we should avoid, as well as a few tips from me. And then our homecoming stage, we are going to talk about bringing these guys home, possible repotting needs, seasonal transitions, and a few online resources that I personally love and have been following their journey for I don't know how long, probably as long as mine. Okay, so first things first, are you ready to begin your journey? What should you think about? So, what are some of your plant goals? What kind of plants do we want? Like most people will go online, Instagram, Facebook, and see these huge, gorgeous monsteras, these lovely majesty palms, and they think, I want all of that. I want my walls to be full. I want my floor to be full. I want it all. But our eyes and hearts are often much, much larger than our accommodations or what we can even sustain with our lighting situation. So whether you want to house a Hoya, maybe have a pothos, a little snake plant, a pretty little ponytail palm, or maybe even a ficus elastica in burgundy, of course. We can talk about all the different things that these guys will need so that you guys can have a fun and rewarding journey. So first things first, lighting requirements. I feel like this is something that most people don't think about. Everybody goes to the greenhouse at our local nursery or our big box store, and we see all these plants doing so well. And we go, okay, I'm gonna take this home and it's gonna do just as well for me. But we don't realize that a lot of these plants, well, all of these plants are in their optimal conditions all day long. So they are basically on the runway to attract you, and you may not have what they need, like the direct sun, like almost maybe like 16 hours a day. You may not have that. So first we're gonna focus on the different types of light. This will also come in handy when you are hunting yourself. Unfortunately for us, the indoor plant tags are not as detailed as outdoor plant tags. Oftentimes they are wrong, they are missing, or just not helpful at all. So there are some terms like the lighting requirements that they will be pretty consistent throughout any plant tag you find. Or it'll at least help you know whenever you go to look these guys up online what you can sustain. So first things first is our direct sun. Most of our houseplants won't really need this. Some of them will thrive amazingly with it, like our jade plant up here. But most people don't really have direct sun as intense as the direct sun tag warrants. Now, the direct sun is usually going to be on your south window, and this is going to be like a floor to ceiling house window, like southern window. So if you do not have that, you most likely do not have direct sun. And that is okay, because most of our plants are going to reside in the bright and indirect light category. So this is going to be like your what is she? Is a heart leaf philodendron. That's what she is. So like the heart leaf philodendron, these guys can hang out in a north window. Granted, most north windows like mine can be a little dim, but it really does depend on the placement of your house. So you can always get a small app on your phone to help monitor the light in your house. But I would honestly prefer you guys put these guys in east or west facing windows. Those will have consistent indirect light even when it's a little cloudy outside, and you will not have to worry about any kind of sun damage. Next is going to be our medium light range. This is going to be a little bit further back from your north window and a few feet back from your east or west facing window. This is really great for tricky tropical plants like calatheas. While this is on the list, we are not picking up calatheas, guys. That is going to be for later in our journey. But pothos is a great plant that loves medium light and honestly does really good in indirect light too. If you want to get a pothos with those giant leaves, some bright indirect light will be your friend. Lastly is low light. This one is tricky. Just about every houseplant that you find will say it can probably thrive in low light. When they say low light, they mean almost no light. And yes, certain things like a ZZ plant can survive in low light, but they will most likely stay that size or thin out and get a little leggy, not look super happy, but can still fit in the space. So while I don't encourage low light, it is possible just in case you happen to have absolutely no windows, I guess, or just not optimal windows, we can work in low light. I'm actually currently growing I believe she's a black ZZ plant. She's doing okay. She is a little leggy, but she is in a pretty dim north-facing window that we're just testing out to see how well she does. Her green counterpart is doing much better in the east window. So these are the lighting requirements I want you guys to keep in mind as we go on our little journey. We are going to take a look at what that actually looks like in your house. So a lot of the times our different facing windows actually have different levels of light in the room. This is a little bit more advanced because you are going to be watching how the light acts in your room. But if you already know, because we're all plant parents somehow, you may have an idea of where these different spots are going to be. And some of these guys in the pictures are actually some of the ones we'll be talking about, like our snake plant behind that chair over there. We've got, it's not a calathea, she's in here. I'll come back to her. But we do have a philodendron. We've got another little snake plant, looks like a striped snake plant on the bottom south-facing window, and a cactus, which is having a lovely time in that window, I'm sure. Okay, then we have our west and east facing windows. So those guys are going to be great for, I want to call it transitional light. So that's going to be our morning sun. That is going to be our afternoon sun. Those are going to be, the afternoon is going to be a lot more intense, which is really great. And then our morning sun is going to be, it's going to be bright, but it's not going to be nearly as intense. It is really, really nice as a gentle light. Fiddle leaf things, they will enjoy this as well, but they are also very finicky, and we are not picking those up today on our journey either. So, here we go, this one knows. Let's talk about some of the places that you can go. Now, plant journeys can be done all over. You can go online, you can even buy them on Etsy now, but the plant community can be a little, I don't know what's the nicest way to say this, competitive in pricing. A lot of people will sell the most trendy plants for over like hundreds of dollars. And these are often plants that you can even sometimes find at like a Food Lion if you know what you're looking for. So we are not going to be buying any very overpriced online plants just yet. For now, we're going to look and source in our local spots. So things like Home Depot and Lowe's, although Normally when we look through the garden section, we're normally not super impressed, but you can find gems in these places. You just need to know what you're looking for. The grocery store. Food Lion is it's by my house, so I'm going to talk about this one, but you can find gems there as well. They are normally not in the greatest condition, but if you get them when they are delivered, sometimes you can talk to your manager of your store and find out when these plants get delivered. You can get them when they're fresh on the shelves and probably doing a little bit better. Trader Joe's is my not new favorite, it's actually an old favorite. I have to be careful going to buy groceries at Trader Joe's because I know I will most likely end up with a houseplant. Maybe it's the way they display them, or it's probably the variety. It's very nice. But they have a really great selection of things like monsteras and all kinds of tropical plants. I will say though, Trader Joe's does not like to label their plants at all. So all of their plants are tropical plants, no matter what it is, most likely. Then we have our more dedicated plant nurseries. My favorite is Anderson's down in Newport News. Not only are they very knowledgeable, but they have a huge selection. Granted, as a beginner plant parent, it may be very overwhelming because there are just so many pretty cool plants all over, and I cannot tell you how many of these guys I brought home just because, oh my gosh, I saw a string of pearls online, or I saw the string of dolphins and she was so gorgeous. And I really didn't know what I was doing, but I thought I could figure it out, and I did not in time, and it was not a string of dolphins anymore. It was more like a string of twigs. So, be careful at Anderson's. Like I said, lovely selection. They are super knowledgeable, but go knowing that you're just going to pick up one or two, or maybe you're just hunting one for one specific plant. We are taking our time on our plant journey. Now, there is one new spot that has popped up recently right here in Williamsburg called Ray Ray's Plants. She specializes in a lot of the more unique finds. They will be a little bit pricier, but she takes really great care of these plants and can tell you just about anything you need to know and provide the soil necessary for those plants without buying a giant bag of soil. She does soil mixes right there on the spot. But like I said, my favorite is Trader Joe's. Like, look at that. How can you not want to go buy a plant at Trader Joe's? Honestly, the monsteras down there, most people go after a monstera because of those fenestrations, those really cute little holes. Your younger plants are not going to have as many, but Trader Joe's, their younger plants are doing pretty well, so that you'll usually find one or two leaves that already have started, and oftentimes they plant two monsteras in one pot and sell it as one plant, so you often get two. And then, like I said, Anderson's, just look at that little plant jungle. Like, I can see plants I want to buy just by looking at this, so we're going to keep going. So, now we're going to play a little game of This, Not That. We're going to talk about some of the plants that are going to catch your eye, absolutely catch your eye, but are not great for beginners. You will see just the cutest things. Let's give it a try. So, the Monstera deliciosa. This is a positive yes. Definitely get this guy. She loves bright, indirect light, and is also happy under fluorescence as well as grow lights. In the winter, I often keep mine inside, and she is pretty fine with just an east-facing window. Not her favorite, but she'll be out in the summer. Well, she'll be out in the spring, actually. So she'll be able to grow even bigger. They are climbers, so initial parents should look out for a stake or a trellis to grab with this guy. So as it starts to figure out where your light source is, you can stake behind it because this plant does have a behind. Most plants, they tell you like you can rotate it and all that. Don't rotate your monstera. Point her towards the sun, figure out her back, stake it, and just let her go. You don't have to worry too much if you miss a watering or two. She is pretty hardy, and she's not super dramatic, but you will be able to tell for sure when she can use a little bit of water. We are not getting the fiddle leaf fig. I know, she is gorgeous. Look at those leaves. Every once in a while, you'll go to a restaurant or a store and they have a giant one. I don't know if any of you guys have been to the restaurant Bonanza right around here. They have a fiddle leaf that is, I don't know, 10 feet tall, and it lives inside, and it is gorgeous and inspires me every time. But we are not getting fiddle leaf plants today. We are beginners, and these guys are notoriously finicky. They are high maintenance, and they are very susceptible to pests. We are going to try and keep our collection pest free as best we can so that we don't, one, destroy our collections, and two, give ourselves unnecessary heartbreak. We're going to stay away from that. If you are looking for a flowering plant, I know some people go to the nurseries and they see everything in bloom and you're like, oh my gosh, perfect pop of color for my house. This is what I'm doing. Most of those will not last. And that's okay because we can get an African violet. These little guys are very cute, come in all kinds of colors, feature very sweet little fuzzy leaves, and can usually adapt to most windowsills. And they have their own dedicated soil mix and fertilizer. So if you want to just go African violet, you honestly could probably just fill your house with that. Now, these guys do like slightly wet feet, and they don't like water on their leaves. So this is great for bottom watering. You can just put it in about a few inches of water for an hour or two, depending on the size of the plant. Pop it out, and she is good for the week. We are not getting peace lilies. There's really nothing. I haven't had too many bad experiences with peace lilies, but I've heard bad experiences with peace lilies, and I like to keep my life peaceful without a lily. So these guys are very beautiful with their glossy leaves and elegant flowers, but oftentimes when you catch them in bloom, that's it. You will need very optimal conditions when it comes to humidity and light levels to get those flowers back. And in the meantime, she will be very dramatic about anything she needs. So if you do want to see a reactive plant, she's great. But we can have an easier one in something like a spider plant. Just as dramatic, but can handle a little bit of ignoring, if you will. Now, if you want something more bushy to fill a space, an asparagus fern is a lovely addition. She is a great air purifier, and if you keep really good care of her, she will start to get very woody and hardy, so this guy can stick around with you for years if you do it right. What we're going to do is get an English ivy. I've had, wow, every apartment I've moved into, I've tried an English ivy, and none of them have worked. But they love to grow outside my house. So if you do want an English ivy, just stick it outside. It'll have a great time. But it doesn't like inside. You guys don't seem like you want it outside either. So let's just leave it at the store. It's okay. We don't need that one. So if you want something more like a tree, this guy right over here, this is going to be perfect for you. She comes in a few different types. My last one was not as caney and probably not as pink. But this one is really great, gives you a lovely whimsical look. It is nice and sturdy, so I can take a few mist waters. And even in low light, unlike a lot of the other plants, it will keep that little cute pink line that's got it going on. A lot of the plants you will see at the store with their vibrant colors are so vibrant because they're in their optimal condition. Our homes are not always going to be that at first, so let's give our plants some leniency and get things that don't have to worry about that. What we're not going to do, we're not going to get a ficus holly. Now, very gorgeous. Look at that. I would love that in my living room. But she will not love my living room, unfortunately. They are very prone to leaf droppage with just a move. So while you're trying to figure out where she's going to want to be, she's probably slowly dying. We don't need that. I want you guys to have a rewarding experience. So instead, we're going to try one of these, the Maranta prayer plant. Now, this is where I'm gonna actually go real quick. This is the Calathea. She brings back memories. She was exactly like my old Calathea, who just struggled for her entire life. Because we don't have it. The chemicals in the water alone will just slowly kill this sweet plant. you can get this same beautiful leaf color and striking visuals with a prayer plant, and she folds up in the evening. How fun is that? So I like to try to pick plants that will do a little bit of movement because indoors can be, people say they can be a little bit boring. They are just kind of sitting there, but they're fun. And this guy likes to move around. So in the evening when it has less light, it will close its leaves a little bit. And in the morning when the light comes back out, she's open for you.
This weekend it was a variety of colorful leaves to choose from. Plant.
Thank you. The guys that we want to try or stay away from, I will give some honorable mentions. My favorite is a Hoya. Most people think Hoyas are kind of boring because they're very slow. But if you ever see a Hoya bloom, you will change your mind. It may never bloom for you, but you will have that memory in your head and you will keep trying, like I do. And you will just grow to love the leaves and all that a Hoya is. The pothos is also a great choice. These guys are not going to be on screen, but that's okay. You can probably find a pothos anywhere. You can throw a rock and probably hit a pothos. So you will find one. And the pothos is great for multiplying your plant collection. So if you want to do some experimenting on how you want to grow your plants, whether it be different mediums or different light sources, give that little guy a chop under one of those nodes, stick it in some water for like 3 days, and boom, new plant. So that's a really fun way to experiment with growing your plants. And then let me see, I think I have one more really good one in my brain for you guys that I want you to remember, and this is a, not that one, that one. He's in there, not that one. Oh, maybe I talked about that one. The J plant, we have one here today, so we'll use that one. The J plant is also a lovely little house plant that is pretty sturdy. Now, she is technically a type of succulent, and I normally don't really mess with those. Like this slide says, I don't really mess with succulents because I'm very, very nosy. I like to know what's going on. I'm a helicopter plant parent. I like to know what's going on all the time, and I honestly have to tell him to like swat me away when I'm being in their faces. And succulents don't really want you in their faces at all. The J plant is a wonderful, like, happy medium where she doesn't mind me in her face. She loves the sun, and she's very, very easy to tell when she kind of needs something. So that's really nice. A jade plant is going to be a great addition. She's very pretty in the summer. Now, word of warning, the plant store is full of amazing things, but also some really not amazing things. Like the infamous succulent terrarium. I'm sure all of you have at least seen one, been gifted one, saw one on someone's table slowly dying. If you do not want to become a master chiseler, we're not going to get these guys. They are often poorly potted in a, is it even a pot? In a pot that with no drainage, very poor soil, and then filled with decorative rocks and glued down over your live plant. Who really wants that? I don't know. But usually they are gifted to you from people who don't know, and that's okay. They were just trying to connect, and we appreciate that. You can save them. I have saved a few, but it's, you don't need to do, yeah. For the same price as that, you can get the exact succulents you want and make this yourself. They have the pots at the Home Depot or the Lowe's, or sometimes even at, oh, Anderson's had some really nice pots, so that's a place to go, actually. And a variety of these guys that you can put together and make it make more sense than this. The next part, the clearance section. I know deals are great. They really are. Everyone loves saving a little bit of money, but I want to save you some heartbreak. The clearance section is not for beginners. You can look at it and go, wow, that's a thing, but we are not going to touch those. Those guys are half off for a reason. And if Home Depot thinks they're half off for a reason, you should know that there's something going on in there. Whether they are on their last leg, filled with some kind of unknown pest that they just don't want to deal with, or some other third thing that we're just not sure about, they stick it on the shelf and they hope that one of us will be gracious enough to house these guys. we're not doing that. Not right now. Maybe in our intermediate plant journey, when we've got some roots under us, we can try this. But not now. No, I'm not even going to say that. I would say unless you see something you really like, don't do that. Don't do that. We're not doing that. You might bring something home that like destroys everything. And speaking of, let's not bring anything home that's going to destroy everything. So when it comes to indoor plants, you will go through a variety of pests or encounter them. But when it comes to the stores, these are the guys that you will most likely be able to see and stay away from. So I'm sure all of us have experienced all three of these lovely, lovely critters. The spider mite, this one's probably going to be one of the easier ones to spot because of their lovely little dusty webs. Please don't. You don't need to. There are so many plants in the plant store. Do not get this and do not get anything right around it. Please don't. Just dig a little bit more, spend like 5 more minutes. You will save yourself and your whole collection and your sanity so easily. Same with the millibugs. These
Funny pieces that look like small white cotton.
Fun story. My sweet mother, who I recently got into houseplants, has been doing a really great job, but she wanted to extend her kindness, and she gave me I don't even remember what it was, but it was infested with mealybugs, and she tried her hardest, and I think it was so sweet, over months to try to cure them, and it didn't work. So I had a slowly dying plant for about, I think, 3 or so months. Luckily for me, we had it in quarantine, but I'm hoping, because she has another one, hoping she decides to just kind of jettison that guy and try again. We're not doing that. I want our journey to be rewarding. And last but not least, aphids. Now these guys are going to come in a couple different colors. The ones I experience outside are often yellow. The ones I experience inside are often some type of white. I'm not sure if there's a reason for that. Do you know? Okay, maybe they just like, I don't know, spicing up my house with some white. I'm not really sure. But we're going to stay away from these guys too. This one you will be able to notice with the distorted leaves as they're coming up. Most people, with the exception of like your nurseries, maybe definitely Ray Ray, the box stores will not care. They will just kind of leave it there and it will just grow like this. So let's stay away from these 3 for sure so we can save ourselves some heartache. Now, before we leave the plant store, we're going to do a few things. One, we are going to buy ourselves a little bottle of fertilizer. Nothing crazy, nothing, like we're not learning the whole nutrition spread right now. We are just trying to keep our plants going for the next year or so as we learn what we're doing. A simple, slow release, any kind of, honestly, slow release. Miracle Rose, the one that usually is around. Following the instructions with this for about a year it will be very rewarding. I keep using that word, but I think of a new leaf and I think, wow, this is all worth it. Next is checking for bonus plants.
I'm in here.
This
Question
is
will grow, so be patient and
with the Monstera. That little guy right there. They'll usually sell that.
Go overboard.
Chance there are about 2
Beginning this of journey 1 and 2 plants.
So when you see something like this and it's for a price that you're happy with, you can go ahead and pick that up. When we get home, we're gonna separate it out so that we have less for the price of one, and you can kind of experiment with the different types of light you want to go with when growing this little guy. I split my original Monstera. I think it had about 5 in it. 2 of them were a little bit older. I think the other 2 were young, and one was just coming up out of like a cut stalk, I believe it was. And they are all thriving in their own way. They've taken on their own personalities, and I'm really happy I did that. Next is please don't rush, guys. I know online, everyone's best life is happening online, which means their best plant life is also happening online. It's not that easy, and it takes time. So we are going to take our time, 1 or 2 plants at a time. If you're feeling it, you can do 3. But slow and steady. I've come home with a tray of plants with the survivor that was, a survivor of maybe like 1.5. And the half is struggling. So we can take our time. And I've had over 50. I know. If you want to just fill the whole space, you don't have to. Just get it. Okay, so we're bringing some of our friends home today. What are we going to do? First and foremost, we're going to do a light watering if necessary. I'm not really sure who the waterers are, the guy who waters the plants. I don't know what their schedule is at a big box store. Anderson's totally fine. Ray Ray's absolutely great. I wouldn't go for any grocery store. Even Trader Joe's, they do pretty good with watering their plants regularly. Um, they should sponsor me. But yes, a light watering, and then we're gonna rinse our plants. Even if you took it home and you saw no pests, that's great. But we're gonna rinse it just in case. We're gonna check all of our leaves, and this is why some of the plants that I showed you earlier were broadleaf plants or very skinny leaf plants, nothing with crevices. We don't want places for our critters to or the critters to hide. They are not ours. We are not taking responsibility for them. We are then going to do a potting assessment. We're going to check those roots. Before you leave, I do want you to just give a quick, check it out of the nursery pot, unless it's at Home Depot and it's in like an actual ceramic. But if it's in the nursery pot, take a quick check, make sure there are no rotting roots. But then when you get home, let's see if it actually needs to stay in that pot as it acclimates for a little bit, or if it needs any kind of slight rescue. Then we're going to isolate these guys. I know it's really nice to add a new friend to the bunch, but they have to figure out their space or their place in the space first. So for the next 7 to 10 days, let's keep our new plant in a windowsill far away. Or if you don't have enough room like me, you can take a large bag or a Ziploc bag, or even sometimes I can find a clear container depending on how short my plant is and just kind of cover it for a little bit if it's going to be around other plants, just in case. Oh, a little leaf is on the way of repotting, but that's okay. We're going to talk about a possible repot now. Now, they will trick you with indoor plant mix. It's okay, but for the price of indoor plant mix, we can make our own, or at least have the ingredients always ready to make our own. My favorite four are going to be some orchid bark. I love growing monstera, so orchid bark is great. Some cocoa coir or peat moss, depending on what you have on hand. I will say the peat moss is going to be a little bit more acidic when it comes to the pH. So starting with cocoa coir is great. If you don't want to go out of your way and get cocoa coir, some of the indoor plant mixes, which you can read on the back, will have some cocoa coir mixed in. That can be enough. We don't have to go too crazy. But the orchid bark, I definitely recommend just so that we can stay away from overwatering our plants. This gives you some leeway. And then you're gonna buy, I wouldn't even say buy, you probably use your garden mix at home. I don't use much, just a small scoop to kind of to add just a little bit of a more, I don't want to say dirt because dirt's not a thing. Soil-like mixture to it to retain some water. You don't have to buy a bag of indoor mix. We can make it at home. And last but not least, some perlite. Now, I would prefer you get like a slightly chunky perlite. This way you can break it down yourself. Otherwise, it will be like dust in your house. And it will be a little bit harder to work with, but it will help with the aeration of your soil, and it will help prevent compaction of your roots, which is probably going to be a thing to look out for because we won't be poking our houseplants hopefully as much as I do. Okay, the last few things we're just going to talk about is just the life cycle of your plants. We are going to have some transitional time. They are not always going to be out of indoor plants unless you really, really, really want them to, but I will show you the perks of not having them always indoors. Now, in the winter, we all need to be inside, and we will all go into low power mode. There's a lot less sun, and it is very dark, but that's okay, and a lot colder. So our plant friends are probably going to react the same way we do. We are going to water them a little less. We are going to fertilize them a little less. Half is probably good, like cutting back halfway. And we are going to be aware of the changing grass in our house. It is easy to kill a plant with a heat vent without noticing. So when you turn your heat on in the winter, just take a look at all the vents and see which leaves start blowing around, or just slight gentle movement. Pay attention to those plants. They may need either a little bit more water or not even their normal, maybe 75% water instead of 100, or you may need to move them all together. That is a possibility, but I do know winter time is hard because everyone is huddled inside, as you can see. But we're just trying to make it work. We're just trying to make it work until the spring. Grow lights are a great way to get through the winter as well. It doesn't have to be the brightest lights that you can find, but just some simple lights on Amazon can definitely help you through the winter. Now, in the spring, our plant friends are going to start waking up, and there may or may not be critters hiding in your soil. It may not be the pests that we were like watching out for, but every once in a while, a thing gets in the house and they find what they thought was outside, and they do their thing. Just take a quick look. Some of my plants that are, I don't want to say notorious for this, but I've seen it a few times. I just pot them in clear pots now so that I can look. I don't want to, I feel very rude uprooting something every time I need to check. But it is important to do a root check around this time. Make sure that you have been watering them properly and nobody is suffering from quiet root rot, because that will happen in the winter. They will try their best. They will put on a brave face and then die in the spring if you aren't paying attention. And we will start transitioning them into their outdoor space. Probably in mid-spring or as weather permits. Some people like to do it right. It was about a week and a half after their first frost. I think that's a little too early, but because the weather's always kind of crazy, just keep an eye out. Okay, so your next transition is going to be summer. This is the fun one. Summer is the time of growth. Your plants are going to experience an amazing growth spurt. If you start to transition them outside, this is going to be in bright, indirect sun, not direct sun, please. You will literally burn a hole through a plant like that. I have come home in tears when my brain realized, oh my gosh, it's 85 degrees outside or 90 degrees outside, and I'm pretty sure the Monstera is being beamed down with a magnifying glass. And I come home to crispy brown leaves and tears. Just put them back, keep them under the shade, please. You can certain ones, when they get hardy enough, you can slowly transition them to more. But in the beginning, let's keep it nice and simple. Let's keep them in the shade, but get that nice indirect light. And last is the fall. So the fall, most of the fall, at least in Williamsburg, I've been able to keep my plants out the entire time. Honestly, a little bit in winter too, because it was a very warm, warm winter in the beginning. So you can keep your plants outside in the fall. They're going to be finishing up those last few growth spurts. Oftentimes starting one more big, beautiful leaf. So keep the watering schedule pretty high. Same thing for the summer. I forgot to mention this. Please pay attention to your watering. These guys dry up a lot faster when they're in the full sun, and that's okay. But let's just make sure all of our friends are nice and hydrated as well as you guys. And then back to the fall. We are going to take care, because this is when critters are going to start taking shelter in hopes that they can stay away from certain winter temperatures, and we don't want to bring those guys inside. So just take a quick look as we're bringing them inside, and also remember, in the fall, you need to start planning for what you're going to do when you bring them back inside. They will be bigger. They will be a lot bigger, and they will not fit in the space that you originally had them in, and that's okay. We can adapt. Okay, last but not least, these are some of my favorite YouTube resources, and I say YouTube because in my experience, Google searches they've gotten a little congested, and it is hard to tell what is real and what is not. So I prefer to get that knowledge from a person with a face. These three people are amazing. Plants with Crystal, she is a great plant educator. Her collection is probably, she may have like 100 plants, I don't know, but she is excellent. She is very sweet, very funny, and she will help you rescue or figure out how to take care of just about any plant. She's very funny. Then there is Kill This Plant. On the contrary, he is not trying to kill your plant. He is probably the most knowledgeable person that I've experienced so far. His name is Lee. He has a smaller collection, but it's only by choice. He does not enjoy heartbreak, and I agree. He helps with very specific knowledge. He loves a good watering schedule, and his videos are normally not more than 10 minutes. So you can sit down for like, I don't know, a quick snack and watch one of these awesome, awesome videos. And then there's the Sheffield Made Plant. Now, he is actually in the UK, but his zone is just about the same as ours, and he mostly works with indoor plants, so that works for us anyway. I enjoyed because I think it's been about 10-ish years. I think that he's been on for longer than that. But watching these three go through different trends and different knowledge and kind of adapt as an actual person is so much more helpful than the random Google search or the AI result that may come up. These guys have their hands in the dirt, literally. Let them help you. Trying to think. Yes, they are all absolutely amazing. And I
Thank you for
think that might
watching
be all I
this
have for you guys.
presentation by the James City County Williamsburg Master Gardener Association. Please visit our website for more educational videos at jccwmg.org.